Let me just ask you one last question. You've been a supporter of GMOs in some of your work and thought of that. I mean, again, this is emblematic of your unconventional way of thinking, sometimes promoting what goes with the conventional, sometimes promoting what goes with the organic, looking for the arguments and the facts, which I really appreciate. What's kind of behind your defense of GMOs, and what kind of criticisms have you heard about your defense of GMOs?
Well, it's a very qualified defense. I have absolutely nothing positive to say about the way we're using genetically modified technology right now. It is a kind of handmaiden of big agriculture to grow a lot of corn and soy to feed to animals. It's the absolute worst possible use of this technology. So, having said that, I don't have any reason. I haven't heard any reason to dismiss the technology per se. I mean, the biotechnology looked at, in a vacuum, I haven't heard anything to convince me that there is a problem, or at least not a problem that's any different than the traditional hybridization of seeds. We've always engineered seeds. Genetically modifying seeds means introducing genetic material from another organism, usually a bacterium, to achieve a certain trait. And that actually does happen in nature in some circumstances as well. There is genetic transfer from species to species in some circumstances as well, because people will often say, well, that's not natural. So when I wrote Just Food, I went in very much opposed to GMOs, because I really didn't know much about them, but I had heard a lot about them, and everything I heard led me to believe that I should be really skeptical of this. But I simply just talked to plant biologists. I talked to dozens of people actually doing genetic modification, and was led to believe, and I think accurately, because studies have not proven this wrong, that the technology itself is safe. It's a fairly innocuous technology. So when you start thinking about how this might play a role in a future agricultural system, with climate change, we're going to need crops that can grow in, drought-like conditions, or conditions that are salinated or get more water than they ever did before. They're genetically modifying some rice that can stay under water longer, because in certain parts of South Asia, the flooding is lasting longer. Certain parts of Africa, their droughts are lasting longer, and they're genetically modifying, cowpeas that can survive this drought. I mean, it's just a tool. It's just a tool that I think could be an important tool, and I have a hard time throwing out the kind of technology itself just because Monsanto is abusing it in a really kind of egregious way. So I mean, that's splitting hairs, but
that makes
that's kind of what I do. I mean, it's just so the problem, though, with even offering the kind of tepid support that I've just offered it right here, is it's so easily manipulated, it's so easily mischaracterized, and I mean, if I had a dime for every time I've been called a shill for Monsanto, I'd be a pretty wealthy guy. It's just not it's just not easy to translate my support for the technology, or kind of cautious support for the technology, and to distinguish that from what Monsanto is doing with corn and soy. But I think there's a really important distinction that has to be made there.
But I mean, doesn't it go beyond corn and soy? It's basically the way in which the regulators and the corporations are establishing patent rights and thinking about intellectual property here that is typically not beneficial to the small farmer.
They're kind of corporate control through patents, although Monsanto's patents on a lot of these products have come to an end. I think this stuff isn't going into the public domain at a rapid rate, because they started. I mean, patents are 20 years, right? And most of these went onto the market in '96.
Wow. So that means the farmers could save the seed now, and they could replant it even if it was patented.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's the case or not. But what I do know is most farmers wouldn't want to save that seed. I mean, not farmers growing corn in the Midwest today. They're going to buy fresh seed every time because it's more productive. They get higher yields. But I think what's going to be really interesting to see is, now that a number of other products are going to be genetically modified, they're talking about strawberries and apples and potatoes, and a lot of these they're actually genetically modifying. There's some oils that they're genetically modifying to have more omega-3s in them. I mean, I'm really skeptical of all this. There's actually a genetically modified yeast to prevent hangovers in wine. I mean, so there's the possibility that down the road consumers might see a direct benefits to some of these genetically modified techniques, and the needle might be pushed in the other direction.
Yeah.
But I mean, right now there's just overwhelming disapproval of GMOs, even though it's in 80% of the processed food that we eat. But the bottom line with GMOs is I think this is a technology that has some potential to improve our food system, but it's not being used that way at all right now. But because of that, potential, I'm not really ready yet to stand up and declare myself opposed to them.
Fair enough. Okay, well, James McWilliams, professor of history at Texas State University, author of a number of books, including most recently this one, The Modern Savage, Our Unthinking Decision to Eat Animals. Really appreciative for all of your work. I can see a lot of research goes into this and a lot of thoughtfulness too, and I think our students and all your readers generally really appreciate it. So thanks for spending some time with us.
Thank you very much, Andrew. I appreciate it.